No sunglasses for this one because I want you to look me in my eyes when I say this. Mark Davis is not a bad owner. And I know what you're thinking. Oh my God, he really has nothing to talk about in the offseason. This is something that I've had in my mind for a long time. And every time I see a comment, not even on one of my videos, in some forum Reddit thread about Mark Davis, it makes me want to jump through a wall. And before I get into the rest of this rant, and it is definitely a rant, I need you guys to do something for me. We're trying to get to 10,000 subscribers before the new league year. We're almost halfway to 8. If you've been watching me for a while and you haven't subscribed yet, please, please, please consider doing so. We're trying to get to 10,000 subscribers. I want to make this my full-time job, me making videos for you every single day. If you like what you see, hit that sub button. Let's get to 10K. Because this is somebody who roots for teams that didn't have great ownership in the past. I know what it's like as a Penguins fan in the past, as a Pirates fan right now, to have a bad owner. And you can question Mark Davis's decision-making, but to question his effort and his commitment and his love for the team that his dad built from the ground, from nothing. The fact that people want to diminish Mark Davis and say that he is somehow trying to tarnish the legacy of the late, great Al Davis is something I will no longer stand for. And I think this is the perfect time in the offseason, when there is not a lot to talk about, to finally get this off my chest. And yes, look, Mark Davis has made some bad decisions. We will go through all of them in this video. But we're going to talk about some of the incredible things he has done, and we're mostly going to talk about how deeply he cares about this franchise and the fact that he wants to be a champion with the Raiders. When Al Davis died, Hugh Jackson was the head coach, right? We know that he did okay, but then, there was sort of a falling out. The first thing Mark Davis tried to do was bring in a new up-and-coming coordinator like a Sean McVay, like a Shanahan, right? And he went Dennis Allen. It didn't work. It was a bad decision to hire Dennis Allen, right? Then we go Jack Del Rio. Good decision it looked like until they fired their offensive coordinator. It fell off a cliff, and then he went John Gruden. Now, I think the John Gruden thing is where people say that was a terrible decision, 10-year, $10 million contract. And yes, look, he decided to strip everything down, start completely over with the John Gruden thing. He was infatuated with it. But that was something that his dad would have done. Okay, I don't see anybody criticizing Al Davis for crazy decisions that he made. And Al Davis did a lot for the game, and he did a lot for minority coaches, and he did a lot for the Raiders. But he also made some crazy decisions. And then Mark Davis tried to rectify one of those decisions by bringing back John Gruden. And at first, it didn't look like it was working. But every year we improved. We went 4-12, 7-9, 9-7, 10-7. And the only reason he got fired was because of some witch hunt by the National Football League. I'm not saying that the things that John Gruden did in the past weren't bad, but they were in the past. And people have gotten away with way worse in this business. And that was absolutely a hit job by the NFL toward the Raiders. That was not Mark Davis's fault. If we keep John Gruden, who's to say how we finish in that season? We were 3-0. Then the email thing came out. We lost 2 straight. And then the Ruggs thing happened. It's all a huge butterfly effect. And you cannot blame that on Mark Davis. Then we go to Josh McDaniels. Now, look. Everyone is, revisionist history. Everyone is like, oh, it should have been Bisaccia. It should have been Bisaccia. I made a video comparing AP to Rich Bisaccia. I love Rich. What he did for us down the stretch was second to none. I will never forget him. He is in my heart, and he's in the hearts of all Raider fans. Rich Bisaccia was not ready to be a head coach, in my opinion. And I don't think Mike Mayock should have stuck around as the GM. I understand cleaning house. And when Mark Davis went out and signed Josh McDaniels, most Raider fans were happy with it. There were definitely some screaming from the rooftops that were not happy, and those people were right. I was one of the people that was happy with it. I thought McDaniels had changed. He did his time being a coordinator. He learned from his mistakes. And most of the pundits and experts said that was a great move by Mark Davis to get a guy that was wanted by a bunch of different teams. We weren't the only team that wanted Josh McDaniels. And let's talk about this. Mark Davis is the person who, when the coaches were fired mid-season, was smart enough to put Rich Bisaccia and Antonio Pierce in the interim head coach positions when there were other people on the roster more qualified, like Gus Bradley or Rob Ryan. People who were former head coaches that were on our staff. Instead, he decided to go with Bisaccia and Antonio Pierce. No one wants to give Mark Davis credit for picking these two guys to lead us. Rich Bisaccia saved us in 2022, and AP saved us this season. And they would not be in positions of power if Mark Davis didn't interview all the candidates within the House and hire them. So we have to give credit to Mark Davis for doing that. The last thing he did was he saw maybe the error of his ways by not re-signing Rich Bisaccia, did not go Harbaugh, went AP, and he trusted in the players. And the players seem to be on the side of Mark Davis. Another thing he did was move the team from Oakland, which I get it, is an unpopular decision. I didn't like it because I was afraid that we would maybe change our name or something, but he's made it very clear that as long as he's alive, the Raiders will always be the Raiders. And we went from one of the most cash-empty teams in the league in Oakland to one of the most cash-fluid teams in Vegas, from one of the poorest franchises to one of the richest franchises. No state income tax, state-of-the-art facility, best stadium in the league. That is all Mark Davis. It is not easy to get people to convince these fans that it was the right move to go from Oakland to Vegas. And I think I could speak for everyone when I say that was the right move, because now free agents want to play in Vegas. It's a great city, no income tax. The weather's great. The state-of-the-art facility. In Oakland, it was a shit show. And that was Mark Davis's doing. And look, he's made bad decisions. And if you're saying he's a bad owner because he's made bad decisions, then that's okay. I concede that. He's made some bad decisions. But let's not act like he's batting 0 for 100 here. He's made some pretty good decisions. Bisaccia, AP, moving the team. Bringing in Tom Brady. I've seen people complaining about Tom Brady being part owner of the team. Guess what, guys? He's the greatest football player to ever live. I'm a Utah Jazz fan, and when Ryan Smith bought the team, he brought in his best friend, Dwayne Wade, to be minority owner and advisor, and that has completely changed the perception of people wanting to play for and with the Utah Jazz. Ryan Smith is a good owner. The owner for the Pirates is terrible. He's one of the richest owners in the league, and we have one of the lowest payrolls in the league. So when people complain about Mark Davis, put yourself in my shoes as a Pirates fan or as a Penguins fan before Mario Lemieux bought the team to save them. The owner, whoever was going to buy the new team, was going to move them out of Pittsburgh and change their name. These are all things that terrible owners do. There are terrible owners in the National Football League that couldn't give a rat's ass about the performance of the team. And you cannot sit here and tell me that Mark Davis does not care. He bought a WNBA team, laugh all you want, I don't care, and he won a championship with them, and they're probably going to go back to back. He wants to win games, basketball games, football games. He wants to win. And bringing in Tom Brady, one of the best to absolutely ever do it, the GOAT, 7-time Super Bowl champion, that is not a negative. He needs somebody as an advisor who's won Super Bowl after Super Bowl to help him make decisions moving forward. You don't think Tom Brady had a say in who our next head coach was going to be? You don't think he had a say in some of the free agents we signed? Or getting Tom Telesco? You don't think he goes into the locker room to inspire the guys? You don't think it's a good thing for Tom Brady to be minority owner of this team? What's going to happen when Mark Davis is no longer with us? We don't have an heir to the empire here. He doesn't have a son. Is he going to sell it or is he going to give it to Brady? I'd rather give it to Brady and let Brady run this thing. We need a successor, and Tom Brady could be that person. And hopefully this ownership stake thing goes through so he could finally be known as an owner of the team. Look, I'm getting a little hostile. I apologize. I think most people understand how deeply important the Raiders franchise is to Mark Davis. And look, I'd rather have an owner who cares about the football team and takes big swings, because sometimes they work out, sometimes they don't, rather than someone who does not care at all and just lets the people do what they do. And the most important thing I want to say is that you can care too much. Jerry Jones is the one making the draft picks, right? He is owner, GM, basically coach. Mark Davis has the ability, if he wants to interject himself into every single decision, personnel-wise, that this team makes. And he never once has done that. He has said, you are the GM, you are the coach, make me a champion. He does not step in and call plays and make trades and make draft picks. So he cares deeply about us winning, but he does not meddle and get in the way. And I think that's something that's very, very important. This was cathartic for me. I just think he cares deeply about us. You know, he wants to honor the legacy of his dad. And yeah, he's a goofy looking guy, so it's easy to take shots at him. And I make fun of people too all the time, right? It's fun. You gotta laugh. But to come at him personally, and again, this isn't the majority of Raider fans, but I see people like, you know, the McDaniels thing, it blew up in our face. I get it. But to be like, this team will never win a Super Bowl under this terrible dictatorship of Mark Davis. It's like, guys, he's trying his best. And he's bringing in advisors now like Brady, and then he brings in Brady, and people are like, oh, a Patriot is not a Raider. It's like, guys, he's retired. He played for the Buccaneers. He knows what it takes to win championships, okay? There's a reason Aiden O'Connell is wearing 12, and all these young quarterbacks say that Brady's the GOAT. He knows what he's talking about, and it's a good move to bring him in. Mark Davis cares deeply about this football team, and I don't want to take any more slander. And look, it's a free country, freedom of speech. You can say whatever you want. You can disagree with me. But here's what I would ask you guys to do in the comment section. Explain to me if you have a deep, seething hatred for Mark Davis. And yes, you could point to the records. I get it. We haven't been great since he's taken over. I understand. And it falls on him. But he's trying different things. He tried to get up-and-coming coordinators. He tried to take big swings like Gruden. That thing blew up in his face. But again, it wasn't his fault. We improved every single year with him. And then all of a sudden he was gone. And then he had to go Pasaccia, McDaniels, AP. Like this shit happens fast and furious. And it's not always on the owner. It is not easy to create a dynasty, okay? You got to get a little bit lucky. And I think we got lucky with AP, but he was also the one who put him in the intern spot, and he was also the one that hired him full time. You have to give him credit for that. You have to take the good with the bad. Anyway, back to the comments. If you don't like him, explain to me why you don't like him, and explain to me why you would like him to sell the team. I'm not one of those people. I love Mark Davis. He doesn't always make the right decisions. He looks like the crazy uncle. I would like for him to have a son. Seems like it's getting a little late for that. But, you know, if Brady takes over, then Brady takes over. Just let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on all this. This was not me just looking for something to talk to, because I've thought about this for a long, long time. And I needed to get that off my chest. That was kind of a therapy session for me. So thank you so much for hearing me out. Please be sure to subscribe. It's free out there on the charts to you. I love you guys. And I'll see you next time.